I was never really a runner. The way I see running is a gift, especially when you have stage 4 cancer. I'm Anne. I'm running the Boston Marathon, presented by Bank of America. I run for Dana-Farber Cancer Institute to give people like me a chance to thrive in life, even with cancer.
Join Bank of America in helping Anne's cause. Give if you can at BofA.com/supportAnne. What would you like the power to do? References to charitable organizations is not an endorsement by Bank of America Corporation. Copyright 2025.
Hi, and welcome to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. My name is Bill Moore. I am a food truck business trainer, author of Food Truck 101, Beginner to Winner, and the forthcoming book, Food Truck 201, Get Off the Truck. This podcast is all about helping you start and grow your food truck business. Today, we're going to talk about a very often broached subject on all the Facebook groups, and that's called an LLC. Here's the first thing I'm going to tell you about an LLC. And I say this in my book. I say it on the guide section of my food truck training group, and pretty sure I made a podcast about it before in the past. If you are curious about an LLC, talk to experts in your state, your city, and that would be either an attorney or a tax accountant. They're going to give you the best, most up-to-date information about setting up an LLC in your state as it applies to your personal financial needs and the goals of your business. There is nobody on Facebook that can tell you how to do it that makes sense for you. They can put you through the steps of just fill out the paperwork, but beyond that, you don't really know if an LLC is exactly what you need or not. All you know is that, hey, it's really easy to set up the paperwork. So let's go through what an LLC is and how it applies to a business as a business structure. And then we'll go over some pros and some cons. An LLC stands for Limited Liability Corporation. Everybody refers to it as an LLC. It is a business structure that combines pass-through taxation with the limited liability of a corporation. But I want to stress this, an LLC is not a corporation. It's just a legal form of a company that provides protection and a little bit of limited liability to its owners. But it is not a corporation. All right, so some of the pros. You have the flexibility of being taxed as a sole proprietor or a partnership or an S Corp or a C Corp when you set up an LLC. Now, I want you to hear that very carefully. You have the flexibility of being taxed. There's no LLC filing tax status from the IRS. You're either partnership, sole proprietor, or a corporation. That's it. There's no LLC filing. As an LLC member, you cannot pay yourself wages. You are getting a draw against the income of the business, and of course, all the profits, guess what? They go to you because it's a pass-through entity. There's less paperwork, and there's a lot lower filing cost on the official state side. Typically, all it takes is somebody about 10 or 15 minutes to fill out the paperwork required for the LLC to be filed in a state, and then send some money to the state, and you're an LLC. And most of the paperwork in all the different states is pretty darn easy to fill out. That's why you see a whole bunch of amateurs saying, yeah, LLC is the way to go. They have no clue what they've signed up for, but because somebody else has told them LLC is the way to go, they just keep telling you LLC is the way to go. But they don't really know the details. Now, what you also got to consider is sometimes some states have very high renewal fees, and there may be some publication requirements. So you got to understand what you're getting yourself into. When you go to the website for the state, it usually explains all this, but most people don't read the details. And then the next year, when the anniversary of the LLC rolls around and they don't fill out the paperwork they're supposed to fill out and send in the new set of fees, they might lose their LLC and not have a clue. They've lost it to begin with. You can form an LLC with as little as one single person. So you all by yourself can be an LLC. But on the other side, you can also have as many members as you want. So if you know 1,000 people and they all want to be a part of your LLC, they can be a part of it. This isn't like selling stock, but they can be a part of the LLC. But you also got to consider there are some states that have a franchise or capital values tax on LLCs. No one ever talks about that when they say, yeah, just be an LLC. Sometimes it can be a flat fee, and sometimes it can actually be based on the company revenue. So again, that's why I say talk to experts in your town, in your state about forming an LLC. What are your responsibilities and how the heck much is it going to cost? And of course, one of the other good things that I've mentioned a couple different times, flow through income taxation keeps things simple. It may not be the less expensive way to do your taxes, but it is simpler. Now, some of the cons. Investors are more likely to put money into a corporation, an official corporation. So it's going to make it a little bit harder on you to raise financial capital from angel investors and that kind of thing. We don't deal with that a lot in our particular industry, but it is possible. Members are protected from some, if not all, liability if the company runs into legal issues. Now, here's where we get into a gray area. People say, yep, it's a complete separate entity and it doesn't apply to your home and your car if you get sued. And that's only true to an extent. When you set up an LLC, it's as if you had a child. And the LLC is its own entity. It gets its own little EIN number, which is effectively a social security number for a business. And it is a separate entity from you. So you have you the business, which is your LLC, and we have you the person, two different entities. So the LLC does something dumb, like make somebody sick. You don't have to worry about being sued, unless you have done things that the typical new business owner tends to do. The first thing is business owners, especially brand new ones and young ones, and what I mean by young is young to the business world, are undercapitalized. So they're constantly pouring personal money into the business to make it operate, to buy insurance, to buy inventory, to pay the employees that they have. So you're undercapitalized. It's commingling of money is what that is. Owners will also go the other direction if the business is really successful and pull money out to pay their mortgage, to pay their rent, to pay their electricity on their home. And then they don't track that with a solid paper trail. So the money's now commingled. And a judge will look at that and go, sorry, you don't have an LLC. So that's one of the issues of how easy it is to break what they call the corporate veil that protects an LLC from a person. That's only one way you can break it. There's other ways. But that's the most common. They don't have a separate business account. And if they do have a separate business account, when you start looking at the payouts from the business account, there's a whole bunch of personal stuff in there. So you can't do that and expect the LLC protection to stay intact. So that's just a couple of the negatives, a couple of the cons to having an LLC. The bottom line is, please, if you're considering an LLC, don't do it just because some nut on Facebook group says, yeah, it's going to protect you. You need to get it. And don't do it because somebody says, well, you do it as an LLC and then you also file as an S Corp and that's going to save you all kinds of money. Because what that particular person is leaving out, because it would take a lengthy explanation, is why they chose to set up that way. And the only way they can explain that to where it would make sense and you could actually use that advice would be if they disclose things like their personal income and their personal assets and all the other things dealing with their personal life that had it make sense for them to set up an LLC in that manner. But they're not going to disclose those things because most likely it won't duplicate your life anyway. So talk to an attorney, talk to an accountant, tell them exactly what your goals are and what your financial status is at this moment in time. I own a home, I own a car, I have $10,000 in the bank, I have CDs of this nature, I've got an annuity, whatever you got going on, they need to know so they can say, yes, this is the way you should set up and this is the way you can put the most money into your personal pocket. And there's nobody on Facebook that can tell you how to do that because it would take too long of a post. So please, if you have a question about an LLC, read all you want on your state's websites, write down all the possible questions that come to your mind, and then go to talk to somebody. Spend the $75 to talk to an attorney. Spend the $200 to talk to them. It's well worth the investment. You don't have to have them set up the LLC if that's the way you want to go, because that is easy, but you need their advice. And that's something you can't get that's going to pertain to you specifically from a Facebook group. Thank you guys so much for listening to the 10-Minute Food Truck Training Podcast. If you're finding all the information helpful to your business, please become a monthly supporter of the podcast. Just hit the support button or follow the link in the description. Every little bit does help keep us going. Join our Facebook group. It's called Food Truck Training. We have a whole bunch of awesome members at all different levels, from brand new beginners to decades-old veterans. They've all got your back when it comes to helping you with your food truck. And again, thank you for listening. Come back tomorrow. You know I've got plenty more to say when it comes to helping you and your food truck business grow.